You were recently banned. Are you still banned from Twitter?
No, I'm back on Twitter.
You're back on now,
I had
right?
to hide the IP address.
All right.
Everybody should get a VPN.
So, the last ban you received, right? You were speaking out against the sexualization of children and your issues with pedophiles.
Yeah.
What do you believe can be done collectively to stop the sexual grooming of children that is taking place in America?
Violence. And I stand on that. I should have worded it different for Twitter. Because all it served to do was a bad tactic on my part. All it served to do, I think at that time I had over 150,000 Twitter followers. Everybody follow me on Twitter, Toure 999. I think that one's up to 26,000, followers, which is less, which means it impacts sales, it impacts outreach. And it's going to be harder for me to get Milano's sister without that 100,000 Twitter followers. I'm joking, internet. But nah, it just was a bad tactic. It was true, but tactics can be true and be subpar. It just served to get me kicked off the platform. But to answer the question, the answer for pedophiles is swift violence. Swift violence. If I find someone sexually, this was the tweet that will be okay if I say it here, especially in context. Because I couldn't give a further breakdown because at the time I wasn't a blue check. That's the only reason why I bought the blue check, to say longer stuff. Context is important. What I said was, if I find there's a sexual grooming of reading sexual things to children in my community at a library, the drag queen story hour type thing comes to mind, and they're reading sexual things to children, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to assault you, I'll probably go to jail, I'll bail out, and if I find out you're still doing it again, I'll come back and I'll assault you again because I don't give a fuck. I stand on that. Here's the context. Children, from a libertarian perspective, cannot consent. Anyone doing things, as someone that has been falsely accused of statutory rape, me, it's a heinous fucking thing. It's the worst thing to be under the cloud of. And knowing that, I know that that's why so many people, when they're trying to villainize somebody, they say that. I think that the people that say that about somebody and it's not true should get the time served that that person would have gotten. But as it relates to people actually being pedophiles and impact, I don't care how they try to rebrand minor attracted persons. And okay, maybe you are minor attracted in your head. I can't control what happens in your head. And it's the only privacy really left until they come up with these things that in your brain thing, if they haven't already. But I can't judge you for the things that's in your head. But when you do a physical sexual act towards a child, I'm going to fuck you up. I'll go to jail. I don't care. I'll bail out. I may not go to jail. The guy that shot the guy years ago in the 80s, it was coming out, he took his son to a karate instructor. The karate instructor sexually assaulted his child. He waited for him to come through the airport and he popped him right on live air. He didn't go to jail. I'm good with freedom. If I had to murder a pedophile and go on the run, I'd make a fun time out of it. It would be like, Catch Me If You Can, I'm the gingerbread man. In the general public, and I would try to make a way that I could sell merch and I could do it hand to hand and I wouldn't be tracked, and I would figure out a way to put it on the internet from yo man, I'm gonna send you a joint, put it on the internet, so if they try to track the ISP, it would be from somewhere where I'm not. I would make a fun time out of it until I'm 80 years old. Or I would just leave the country. But the answer to that is violence in reality. And I'm not talking about adults that take their children to drag queen things. I think you're horrible parents, but that's not actually sexual. It's weird as fuck. And I'm side-eyeing the parents and my children are never around you. But we're talking about pedophiles. And I want to be clear. The answer is violence. When the COVID lockdowns happened and Walmart had lines of people outside and they were trying to tell people they had to have, in a lot of these places, those other stores were closed. The city said these stores have to close, but Walmart stayed open, which was so contradictory because for some reason COVID won't go into Walmart, but whatever. And so they wasn't letting people in to get food and groceries at Walmart if they didn't wear a mask. And then what started to happen over time was there were some people that got into fights with security for trying to make people wear a mask. Quietly, Walmart didn't make it a policy anymore. They just handed people masks as they walked in. They didn't say it's a requirement. They asked and they insinuated, but they handed you the mask, but they didn't say you can't come in here because you don't have a mask on. And that was because people were violent. Anyone that acts like violence doesn't get shit done under certain circumstances is lying to themselves. That's the reason why we have a Second Amendment. If you try to violate my human right to exist on this planet, I am well within those same human rights to defend your encroachment with violence. We are not talking about unwanted and unnecessary and unjustifiable violence. But if you are sexually doing things to a child, that is the very narrow window that I'm okay with violence for.
But so I'm confused now. Why did you get banned from Twitter? Was it did you make homophobic statements?
No, they mass reported it. They mass reported it because they said it was an act of violence. Because I said I would assault them, I would get arrested, and I would come back out and assault them. The LGBTQ mafia is real.
No, that's where I'm going with it. Like, I'm just saying, like, what's the? Cause we spoke to. All right, I'm just trying to clarify this. You made a comment against pedophiles, but you were attacked by the LGBT community.
Yeah, I made a comment about it was steeped in if I see you reading sexual content. Yeah. I said assault, which is a form of violence.
But assault could be anything. It's not
assault could be a slap.
Yeah.
Right? But because I said assault, that's technically they packaged it as it was a threat of violence. And most people were like, well, yeah, they're reading sexual shit to children. And they agreed with it.
All right, let's clarify this. So I just want to see how the other group got involved. What did you mean by sexual content to children?
Reading books that are talking about sexual shit. So, for example, if I went into if I didn't have on a drag queen outfit, and I went into a park and put up a sign that said "Sexual Story Hour," and I'm just in the same clothes that I'm in right now, the grown men in that park, and I was reading the sexual process to children, not a sexual education to teenagers that are already having sex that their parents signed off on. This is the penis, this is the vagina, or these are how two gay men have sex to children in the park. How do you think that grown men in that park would respond to me? The way that any solid man would. You're going to, at minimum, smack me around and at least kick me out the park. But for some reason, when I said it on Twitter, Twitter also operates off of algorithms. So if they mass report it when the LGBTQ community got wind of it, because so many people were retweeting it, millions and millions of views.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what is their issue with. Why are they defending? It seems like they're defending. You're arguing against pedophilia, so they're defending pedophilia.
Yep. And grooming.
But now, what does that have to do with what they do, though? I thought it's like homosexual, man on man, woman on woman.
Now we get into the crux of it. Now they keep adding. I believe that the LG. First, let me give a huge shouts to my gay, bisexual, and lesbian homies. My lesbian homegirls are hot as fuck. They are adults that are making adult decisions, and those gay and lesbian homies and my cousin who's transgender are also like, what the fuck is this? They didn't fight for rights to be sexual with children. Their movement is being co-opted. That's why they keep adding more and more letters. What's the plus for? Y'all leaning into the, Oh, if we come up with something else. No. That's the equivalent of when back in the day, motherfuckers would be like, man, nobody's coming to get your guns. Nobody's coming to... And we was like, yo, look. Nobody's coming to get your guns. Nobody's coming to get your guns. Nobody's coming to get your guns. Fast forward. A couple years back, Beto O'Rourke runs for president. Hell yeah, we're coming to get your guns. All of the people that were conspiracy theorists, again, were right. You're setting up this thing for rebranding of pedophilia to this minor attracted person situation. Plus.
Go again?
Minor attracted person.
I never heard that term.
That's the new rebrand of, they're not calling it pedophilia. They're not trying to call it pedophilia no more.
I'm not laughing.
It's so insane.
What did he call it?
Minor attracted persons. MAPS.
Minor attractive person.
Minor attracted.
Minor attracted person.
As the minor, I'm attracted to, not me, I gotta be careful how I say this because context, edit could paint me a whole different way. These people are attracted to minors. So instead of calling them pedophiles, the rebrand is MAPS, MAPs.
Well, you know what? We did an interview with Umar recently. He was talking about this trans children thing. And he was saying the issue, he brought up this pedophile thing too. Because he was saying in court now, his argument was if a child can have consent to have a sexual change at like 12, they could also argue that they make the decision to have sex. So it's a free-for-all for this pedophile thing.
It's an agenda. And anybody that acts like it's not is the same people that act like they wasn't coming for our guns back in the day. It's an agenda. What and here's the real, not the children are the absolute victims. Here's the danger for movements. All of the people that are homosexual that were fighting for just, yo, don't beat me up because I'm a gay dude. Don't beat me up because I'm a lesbian. They were fighting for just, I just want to be treated as a human that has a different sexual orientation. And that's, as an adult, 100%. That's your thing. It don't have shit to do with me. It's not going to help me get Milano's sister. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, though, is it creates a space where it's, now here comes the agenda and there's people jumping in onto your agenda. It's people coming in and going, yeah, LGBT. First it was LGB. Then it was LGBT. Then it was LGBTQ. Then plus. Now the colors on the rainbow changing. Now it's they adding the pink, they adding the brown, they adding the light blue, the white. I did a video on that too. And they was like, that's not what it means. Oh, just like we're not coming for your guns. Bro, they have an agenda. We ain't got to argue about, I challenge people to not argue, spend time arguing about if it's an agenda or not. The best way to prevent against it is to make sure that you're raising solid boys and girls. You're being very careful about, if you send your children to school, you're being very careful about what's on their television, their screens, and what's being learned in their school. If their school is in compliance, because again, that sexual education class was for older students back in the 90s. And your parents still had to sign off on it. Now they flipping it where you are wrong as the parent if you say no. They want to do it in secret as if they know better than the parents. When the state of Florida and their governor, Ron DeSantis, was like, we're not doing this. It was, oh, you're transphobe, you're homophobe. No. There shouldn't be a conversation about any type of sexual energy as it relates to elementary school children. What the fuck? What they got? They trying to figure out how they gonna get ice cream and snacks. When is recess? There's an agenda. Be paying attention to the propaganda. You see it on TV. All of the television shows.
The show's got a character in there right now, bro.
Every episode.
And the wild part is, it don't even correlate with the storyline, bro.
It has nothing to do with the storyline. That's when I know it's cat. It's what? That's like, yo. What would be the purpose of casting Donald Trump in 100 years as a black dude? Like, how does it add to the storyline for this inclusion argument? It doesn't. I get it. He got baby moms. The system hate him. He had to get money on his own. He got different baby moms. He got to try to keep his kids. They might go back and forth with him. You know what I mean? They lie about him on television. You could argue that, yeah, he getting black man treatment out here. But he ain't black. How would that add to the Netflix story? It wouldn't. How does it add for you to show me that this child is gay. They 7 in the movie. What? It's an agenda. And so that's why I got kicked off of Twitter. I'm trying to get them numbers back up. Everybody that sees this, follow me on Twitter. Maj Toure, MAJTOURE 999. That's me on Twitter. It's the blue check joint. There's a few fake pages that have popped up since then. That's when you know you make it. You made it when people start making fake pages of you. But yeah, man, just that's another reason why we co-opted the BLM phrase. Black Lives Matter as a statement, 100% agree with it. Duh, white people agree with it. What the organization initially said they were going to do as it related to ending qualified immunity, which would curb a lot of this police brutality, they did not do it. Then it was co-opted, incorporated, because it started with the Ferguson movements and Mike Brown. And I went to Ferguson and had conversation with Mike Brown's dad. I had conversation with Darren Seals' lady, you know what I mean, who was shot and his car was set on fire. After he was like, yo, this BLM thing, that's not us. They just got $500,000 from Google. That ain't us. They've been co-opted. They co-opted it. They killed a lot of the people that started the Ferguson movement. The Ferguson Police Department is not just say, oh, this is suicide. How you get the truck catch on fire and you got shot in the head? And I asked the police officer. I went to the Ferguson Mini Mart. I went there. So they co-opted this thing. And now I'm co-opting it. Y'all didn't do what y'all said y'all was going to do. And now there's no conversation about that. It now is about, and they had it on the website, it was about destroying a nuclear family. The black family has been, and we're talking more specifically to the black community now. I don't want anybody to take this as a disparaging remark about any other type of family. The black family in the black community was our source of strength. The family is the first technology. You know what I mean? So you guys would say Black Lives Matter, but you would try to extend the democratic agenda of removing black fathers from that household. That's what the whole war on drugs and separating the black man, putting them into the prison industrial complex is all about. So I can't champion that. Matter of fact, you are no longer fit to serve, and that moniker now needs to go to something more productive for our communities. Black libertarian movement.